A special hour-long semester-ending and year-ending show of College Crossfire with our Tournament of Champions up next.
Where the hell's the rest of it?
Where's the rest of it?
Taylor's not even here to defend himself.
I'm so excited.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome into a special hour-long edition of College Crossfire. I'm your host, Reese Miller. Glad to be here with you and incredibly excited to have you with us on this Wednesday night, which is TSTV Sports' last show of the semester. Let's go ahead and meet our panelists from the first group. The winner of this will face the winner of the second group. We'll have a third round, which will decide our champion, our Tournament of Champions. Matt Adams, welcome in, buddy.
Yeah. Glad to be here, and I'm kind of sad this is winding down.
It's certainly sad, but you'll be back. You'll be back,
Yeah.
especially if you keep around for World 3. The always enthusiastic, unbelievable, hard-nosed Joe Morris. What's up? What's up, Joe?
That's an ugly shirt.
He's got his, you ready to bring the Hotline Bling today or what?
Yeah, I was born ready to do this. Let's go.
Caden Kinard can't quite compete with the Hotline Bling, but he's certainly still here.
Basic plaid is all for me.
Basic,
That's it.
hey, Basic Plaid looks
Sorry,
good.
not
Fresh
Hotline
back
enough.
from Indianapolis, guys. Should be an awesome show. Let's go ahead and get into it. Finally, it has come down to the final Texas football game in this disappointing 2015 season. The Longhorns take on the Baylor Bears for the first time in new McLean Stadium. The Bears are fresh off an overtime loss to TCU and will start third-string quarterback Chris Johnson, while the Longhorns go with Tyrone Swoops, with Gerard Hurd questionable to play with a concussion. Guys, Texas is 4-7 and has not won a true road game this season. What will you remember most, and what can you take away from the season now that it's just about come to a conclusion? Matt?
I'm going to be absolutely depressing on this. Outside of the OU game, there was nothing to be excited about this team. Going on the road, they stunk it up at Notre Dame. They blow a huge game at TCU, just getting trounced. And then they continue that road issues against Iowa State and West Virginia. Just never could find that click. Offensively, at times you thought Hurd was the guy, Swoops was the guy, but you're still back to the same problems Texas has been facing for the last several years. No offense, trying to rely on defense, but the defense just isn't there yet. And 4-7 right now, Texas just isn't going to cut it.
4-7 for the first time since the middle of the 1990s. Back-to-back losing seasons already guaranteed for Charlie Strong. Joe, what will you remember about this?
This Texas team could not close out a game. There's close games against Tech, close game against West Virginia, close game against Cal, close game against Oklahoma State, and they couldn't win any of them. Also, this team just struggled on the road. They had 3 games where they were blown out on the road, even Iowa State. So this is an embarrassing season.
Sure.
But at least we beat OU.
I guess that's the one positive thing to come from the season. But Caden, what will you remember?
I transferred here last year. My 2 years combined, 10 wins.
Oh,
10 wins. Hasn't happened since 89-90. So I think I'm going to remember the Cal game specifically because the Nick Rose just missed extra points, summarized the season perfectly. They failed to do the little things. They just couldn't do it. But there is one kind of shining example that I think I will remember is seeing Malik Jefferson in his career start here at the University of Texas. He's going to be a great. He will be. He's the best player on the defense. There is no question about it. And he's just a freshman. And it's interesting to see how he's playing. I'll be gone, but I'll be excited to see how he grows. Probably 3 years he'll be here.
I think some people may remember the games he wasn't on the field. Really injured second half of the season, but certainly a future great, no doubt about it. Joe, I'm kind of with you here on this one. I think Cal kind of summarized this season perfectly towards the end. You had this great offense coming in and certainly not able to capitalize on it. So Joe starts us off. Caden, quit cracking me up. It's time for a moment of severe sadness, guys. Sadness on the show. With the loss on Thanksgiving Day, the Dallas Cowboys are now 3-8. Still only 2 games back in the division. That being said, quarterback Tony Romo is out for the season after he re-injured his collarbone. Dallas is 0-7 in games played without Romo this season and have not won a game without Tons of Rome since Stephen McGee won in 2010 over the Philadelphia Eagles. Guys, are the Cows cooked? Oh, yeah. Joe, we'll start with you.
They were cooked long before this injury.
Tell him.
Their inability to produce on defense, they cannot hold a lead in the fourth quarter. There's no backup quarterback on this team. Their running game is not evolved. There's no 2,000-yard rusher behind that vaunted O-line, like they said.
Keep it coming. Let's go. Let's go. Keep it coming.
More.
This Dallas team was very overrated from the start, like they always are every year.
You know it. Tell them.
And this is just another year. They're going to be overrated again next year, and they're going to choke. The one year they're not overrated, they make the playoffs, though. So maybe they should learn something this offseason and try to like not stay in the headlines. Just keep a low profile, and maybe they'll have a good season next year.
I think it's difficult for Dallas to stay out of the headlines, certainly, whenever. But I also think the rated thing was okay when you come off 12-4, 13-win season, including the one in the playoffs, and you return everybody with a couple additions. Caden?
It's disappointing because this team, they were a Super Bowl contender, whatever Philly fan here says. But they were done when Tony Romo got injured the first time. You wanted hope, and I said maybe they got 2 wins, they have a chance. Well, they got 0 with the quintessential backup in Matt Castle, who couldn't start at USC. He was behind Matt Leinart, NFL bust, and now they do have a backup. He's only a backup, though. He's not going to be able to lead them. He struggles getting it to their weapons. And then defensively, like, they're playing fine, but their offense is just so inept that they're not going to be able to do anything.
I think Dallas looks back at the end of this season and thinks, what if we had gone 2-5 in that 7-game stretch? Then they'd be 4-5 or 4-6, 1 game back in the division. But obviously, the season,
they wouldn't have had to rush Romo if they won.
Right.
Just 2 games. He could have taken 1 more week off. He looked rusty in those games against Carolina, and then the injury just sucks.
Yep.
It sucks.
I mean, it's not like
Sucks.
Carolina had to come back against the Cowboys. Like once Romo went down, like he was kind of bad when he came back.
Well, yeah, he's also rusty playing against a number 2 defense in the NFL.
On a short week.
Yeah, on a short week.
Or he's
Yeah.
overrated.
That's not true.
Yeah, not even close.
Sorry.
Matt.
Wrong.
Yeah, I think for the Cowboys, this is unfortunately done. Reese, you look at 3-8 right now, the remaining schedule, have to play the Redskins twice, the Packers, the Jets, the Bills, all tough teams, and particularly with the Jets, Bills, and even Packers, that defense is going to key on a weak offense. I know the running game right now is kind of mid of the NFL pack, but in the passing game for the Cowboys, they're 29th right now. When you rank that low, and the Titans, Rams, and 49ers are behind you, you're not going to be able to succeed and get to the playoffs. The season's kind of done.
Yeah, even in the worst division, I'll say in football right now, Kirk Cousins pilots the division leader. Are you kidding? At 5-6. Caden, I'm with you here. I think the season was over when Romo went out. I think once you went 0-7 in those 7 games, you were at 2-7. Couldn't win a game without the guy as your leader. Not one? I think the season's over. So Caden gets the point, guys. I personally heard about that one, Joe. Let's head to the association and the defending champs. The Golden State Warriors now 18-0 this season. They've already broken the record for wins to start the season with their first 16 and have looked unstoppable in doing so. Guys, do they have a realistic chance at breaking the 95-96 Chicago Bulls record of 72-10? Remember, they don't even have their head coach at the moment, and they're still absolutely demolishing people. Caden, what say you?
First, Luke Walton's going to get a head coaching gig at the end of the season. Somehow, Lakers are going to come calling. He doesn't deserve it. But the Golden State Warriors, they absolutely can break it. They could maybe, honestly, the thought that they could even go 82-0 is a possibility. I know it won't happen, but think about how they've improved as a team. No championship team has ever improved like this. Obviously, Steph Curry's playing well, but their issues last year was Andre Iguodala and Draymond Green. Like, you could let them shoot the 3-ball when they go to their fearsome, like, tiny lineup. But both those guys are shooting above 40% from deep this year. What hole do they really have? Because they're making teams adjust to them. The only chance that other teams have is if they adjust to their the opposite strategy. So, but realistically, their next 11 games, the toughest opponents, the Raptors and the Jazz. Like the Christmas Day game against the Cavs, they'll be 29-0, assuming everything goes according to plan. I know they were close against the Nets, but the Cavaliers, I realistically think, are the only team that can really make the Warriors adjust stylistically.
They look by far the best team in the NBA. It's not something we say that very often. But you don't think Luke Walton is deserving of a head coaching job?
No.
At the end of the year? No.
He's a good ego manager, but what has he really done strategically that warrants him getting a head coaching job? He needs more time. That he's only there because Alvin Gentry left. This would be Alvin Gentry's team, and so he's kind of thrust into a bigger situation than he originally was going to be.
Does have a good winning percentage, though.
Yeah.
At least
the best.
Yeah, the absolute best you could do. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this Warriors team, they really do have a shot. They last year they tried to have a balance of both being a physical team down low, rely on the outside with Thompson and Curry. But at the end of the day, this year, it seems like everybody can just shoot the three. And they, not only are they shooting the three and have a great perimeter game, but they're getting so far ahead of people that Steph Curry and a lot of these stars right now, they're getting a lot of rest, and that'll help them later on down the road against teams like San Antonio or other future Thunder, other opponents. That'll be tough for them.
I already beat the Bulls.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Beat the Bulls
peanut
this
gallery
season.
said, yeah.
So, Joe, let's go to you.
I think these are some blasphemous people, some blasphemous statements.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
They're not even a quarter of the way done through the season, and people are already saying undefeated. So I don't think that's true. I don't think that'll happen. When you look at them last year, they were lucky that they didn't get injuries. Like no one was injured through the whole season, and they still came up 5 games short of that Bulls record. So no, I think once the fatigue of the season starts to come in, and once people start getting injured on the Warriors, which they will, then they're going to start losing a few games. They're not going to be bad. They'll still probably get like 60 wins, but they're not going to go 72
60.
and 10.
Only 60.
Okay.
60,
I disagree
at
with
least
that.
60.
This
in the
team
60s.
is
They're by far ahead of the West.
Harrison Barnes got injured.
Right.
Brandon Rush comes in, scores 13 points in 3.5 minutes. He's a guy who doesn't play for him, and they're not going to be fatigued because they don't have their stars don't have to play the fourth quarter.
Right.
They're only playing 28 to 31 minutes a game. Yes, I know 82 and 0 was like it's unreachable, just won't happen. But it's the idea that it could happen with the team because they look so unbeatable and they have no holes.
I think that's the key that you said is their starters don't have to play near as many minutes. So instead of the Spurs, like your Spurs, instead of resting people, everybody plays.
Yeah.
Everybody plays, and they play every night. Matt, I think you're getting the point. Just what you said about their improvement inside and outside. This looks like a totally different and complete, and by far the best team in the NBA. We're all tied up. That's the way we like it here. That will do it for round 1 on this hour-long edition of College Crossfire. We have a rapid-fire segment and decide who advances to the finals up next. Welcome back to College Crossfire. Let's take a look at our scoreboard at the end of round 1. Remember, these guys will take the win from one of this first round. You guys will meet up with another panelist, another one of our past winners of this semester in round 2, guys. We've got Matt, Joe, and Caden all with 1. We'll have 2 rapid-fire questions. The first will be worth 2 points. The next, we will dish out points. You'll see how it works, guys. Joe, always a pleasure having you on, guys. The Black Mamba is officially hanging up the sneaks in a letter to the Players Tribune. Kobe announced this will be his last season. Prices for Laker games have already skyrocketed to 4 times the previous amount, and the minimum price for Kobe's last game is already $500. How much would you pay, or what would you do to see Kobe's last contest?
It's against the Jazz, so I wouldn't pay that. We're not a playoff team, but I know it's going to be iconic. But Byron Scott it's going to be a Goring. Oh, wait, tour. I want to play like, what, $40 to see Kobe's last game? I'm a Clippers fan. I'm not going to pay that much.
Okay, Clippers fan says not much. Now, what about you?
I'd probably say I'd pay quite a bit to see Kobe go up against LeBron one more time. I'd probably go with 500.
500. Matt, what would you do? What would you do to see Kobe?
Well, tickets are overrated. Like, seeing a game in person is pretty overrated. Like, but DVDs, they last forever. Just buy like 5 years from now, just buy like a $20 DVD. Like, oh, hey, Kobe's highlights and stuff. YouTube videos are free. Like, why do I need to go see him in person? I can just see him torch.
You might be the worst.
Is that how you feel about the finals? Oh, I can just rewatch it here.
Yeah.
I'll see the highlights later. That's all that really matters. It just tells me who wins. Goodness.
Watch the games for free, like on TNT or something. Like, I don't need to go watch the game. Go out of my.
That's a monthly.
God.
All right, guys, real quick. What is your favorite Kobe memory? Because you guys didn't do it for me on the on the last question, especially on Joe.
It has to be 81. There's no way it's not. You want to say all the game winners, but in a singular game, 81 points is absurd. That's never going to be replicated. I'm sorry. Steph won't do it. No one takes enough shots anymore in the modern NBA to get to 81 points.
I still say two moments. Kobe coming back from 3-2 over the Celtics, get that 5th title. And then watching him on that 08 Olympic run, following a finals loss, he was still fired up, and he got D-Wade and LeBron, all that group ready, and he got a gold, so that's all that matters.
Truly great. We can certainly watch his highlights. Joe, favorite Kobe memory?
What convinced me that Kobe is a top 5 all-time NBA player, not just like all his title wins or like his all-star appearances or any of that, but I remember one time they were playing the Mavs, and the Mavs were up like 2 points with like about 20 seconds left in the game, and Kobe Bryant's like about 5 feet behind the arc, and Jay Crowder's like right up on him. And he just like swishes it right in his face, and I was like, ooh. I just saw my team like get this lose in a heartbreaking loss, but I was still like, this guy's like one of the all-time greats. We'll all miss you, Kobe, when you're gone. Rip your career.
No question about it. We all miss him when he's gone. Caden's getting the points. I think 81 in a game. That might not get broken, especially because no one takes as many shots as Kobe. Guys, for our next rapid fire question, we're going to do 1 point for every right answer. We've dreamed up a little challenge. With 128 NCAA teams, how many mascots can you name that don't end with an S?
Irish.
Fighting Illini.
Irish.
1, 2.
Illini, from Illinois.
Stanford Cardinal.
Okay.
The Bison.
Syracuse Orange.
Okay.
Mean Green.
Yeah, no shouts from our crowd, please. Thank you. Okay, right now, Caden has a 5-3 lead over Joe. Matt has 2.
How did the points work?
Still have a few others. So, because you got 2 for the last rapid fire.
Oh, yeah. Okay. What's Alabama?
The Crimson
North Dakota
Tide.
State Bison.
I know
Joe's coming back. Joe's coming back. Okay. Joe's coming back.
The North Dakota State Bison.
What about like War Eagle, like actual mascots?
Okay. Nope.
No.
No.
Nope.
Okay,
No
fine.
Tigers.
Fine.
God, Joe's 1 behind.
The Blue Wave.
I'm not. Joe, I gave you 1 because it came from the crowd, and I'm not giving you that.
Wait, what's Tulane? Isn't like the wave or something? The Blue Wave. Okay,
Yep,
that's
the
it.
wave.
All
Yep,
right.
that's it.
All right, then
not
let's
giving you a
go.
point for
Let's
that.
go with the.
How many are there?
I believe there are. What was the number? 27.
There's 27?
Yeah.
How many are good?
I think it was 27. Not many.
Yeah.
Not many. Can you name Tulsa?
Hurricane.
Rockets. No.
Absolutely not the Rockets. Matt got the Hurricane, but Caden is going to take the win here, guys, for round 1. He ended up with 5 points after a couple winners. We'll revisit the show and give you guys some other ones later on. But overall, great job. Fun first round. Caden's moving on into our finals winner bracket, guys. We'll go ahead and move you guys out, move a new panel in. Don't go anywhere. We'll see who meets Caden Kinard in the finals up next. Welcome back to College Crossfire, and welcome a new slate of panelists trying to figure out who's going to match up with Caden Kinard in our winners round. To my right, we have Katerina Biancardi, a former champion. I'm sure at some point, or at least she says so.
Multiple times.
We can't confirm it, but we're sure that she's won at some point. Katerina, always great having you on. Mark Skol, the great Mark Skol, is reinvigorated with the Bears win, of course. Always great to have you. Eric Goodman, a former winner late in the season, freshman, bringing the heat tonight. What's up?
Yeah, just like Chris Warren, man. I'm ready to bring it.
Ready to bring it. Chris Warren's score all day, 25, guys. Guys, after seemingly much debate on the suspension of the future of Les Miles in the third quarter over the Tigers' win over Texas A&M, donors decided they would go ahead and keep Miles for the foreseeable future. Meanwhile, Georgia, after another 9-win season, has fired head coach Mark Richt. Is this the right move for both of these squads? And what do you guys think of this? Pretty interesting happenings late in the season, Katerina.
I definitely think for LSU, it was the right choice to keep, just because when you have the support of a longtime coach and getting a big victory, it's a positive thing for a coach to stay there and the loyalty between the program. However, I think for Georgia, the call to get rid of the coach was the best option. The expectations were just not met. Georgia won 2 SEC titles, but unfortunately has not made it to a national championship at this point. And it's hard to look at these schools and see longtime coaches that the universities love, but they're just not performing. And you think, like, I compare the example to Rick Barnes. He was here for so long, but he just didn't get us anywhere. So, unfortunately, both were right moves.
I think the interesting thing with Georgia, you mentioned 2 SEC East championships, never actually won and claimed the SEC title despite being ranked in the top 10 preseason expectations, kind of like you said, obviously getting to Georgia. Mark, what do you think?
Well, you got to keep Les Miles at LSU. I feel like that's a definite. Like, you look at what he's done for that program. He's won a national championship. He's been to a couple, and his recruiting is insane. He's been able to bring Leonard Fournette, Odell Beckham, Jeremy Hill, just players like that, and turn that program into a national powerhouse year in and year out. You had to keep him there. I feel like that was a definite. I feel like that would have been a really bad decision not to keep him there. As for Georgia and Coach Mark Richt, I feel like you had to get rid of him. A 9-win season is good, but they need someone to get him over that hump, and they just never really got that with Coach Richt. They had a lot of good talent on that team with Aaron Murray, the quarterback who got drafted a couple years ago, Todd Gurley, who's now in the NFL, Nick Chubb currently on the team. They have all this talent on the team, but they can never seem to just get it all together and become a top 10 team, and that's what this team needs. They have the talent. They just need a coach to put them over that hump.
Looking back before that, you had guys like Matt Stafford, other running backs before that, so certainly expectations and recruiting playing into Georgia. Eric, what do you think about this?
Let's start with Les Miles. He's a master recruiter. In the last 4 years, he's had a top 10 class. 2 of those were a top 2 class. And maybe that even worked against him in this last year with some of the donors. They saw the incredible players that were suiting up in purple and yellow, and they thought, why aren't we winning national championships? But I think losing Les Miles would have lost a lot of what put them in the conversation every year. Mark Richt, let's look at, since Mark Richt took over at Georgia, who's won a national title? You had their arch rival Florida win it twice. You had the U win it, Miami. It's been a while since they did. You had Nick Saban win a national title at LSU. I view Athens, Georgia as a place that should be in title contention pretty regularly, and to not bring one home in 15 plus years.
Yeah.
It should cost a coach his job there.
And to not really get close. Maybe the closest a couple of years ago, losing on that last-second goal line stand by Alabama in the SEC Championship. Guys, you're all on Les Miles. You're all way out on Mark Richt, so you all get a point to start things off. SEC Championship Saturday, speaking of, is now upon us. Alabama meets Florida in the SEC Championship. Michigan State takes on an undefeated Iowa Hawkeye squad for the Big Ten crown. And North Carolina faces the unbeaten #1 the Clemson Tigers. Guys, what are you looking most forward to this weekend? A lot of games that have a potential impact here as we look in the college football playoff race. Mark?
I think it's pretty obvious which game is the most important, and it's the Iowa-Michigan State game. You look at this Iowa team, they were a team that wasn't even ranked at the beginning of the season, and they slowly climbed their way up to the #3 spot in the rankings, or #4 spot now, excuse me. But wow, like, the reason people love sports is because people love to cheer for the underdog. And Iowa is that underdog. And Michigan State, if you look at their season too, they've been somewhat of an underdog too. That crazy win against Michigan on that botched punt, and then that insane field goal against Ohio State. These are 2 teams that have had terrific seasons. And to see one of those, it would be great to see both of them in the college football playoff just because I love underdogs. But I think you got to love this game because this is the team that everyone's going to be cheering for in that college football playoff.
It seems like the winner of this game will automatically get in. But you mentioned both of them getting in. So you think, let's say...
No, they won't both get in.
Okay. I was going to say, because even Ohio State may lurk and find a way back in there.
It's whoever wins that game's in.
Yep. Eric?
Reese, because you said it, the winner of that game is a lock for the playoffs, almost on hands down. And with me, when it comes to college football especially, I love drama and I love chaos.
Sure.
And there's no chaos with that game. Either way, it's a win and you're in. Now, UNC, that ACC championship, UNC, if they beat Clemson, if they knock down that #1 team, it's a stretch, but I wouldn't count them out before. I'm going to be tuning into that game because if that happens, then you've got 6+ teams that all have a shot, including UNC. They would have just beaten the #1 team in the nation, and they're a 1-loss team. You got Ohio State that's going to be back in the conversation. I would love if that happens because the chaos, the committee's going to have to stay up pretty late to get that one right.
Right, North Carolina, after losing 17-13 week 1 against South Carolina, have really come on strong, undefeated in ACC play. Their conference champion. But do you think UNC would deserve a right for the Final Four, essentially?
A week 1 loss, so much changes after 12 games, and you got it. I don't view them much differently than Iowa. Sure, they're an underdog team, but yeah, I mean, they would, to me, at least deserve a committee conversation.
In the Final Four.
And they'd be the ACC champion, also very crucial there. Katerina?
I'd have to say the Big Ten championship game, just like Mark said, for the points, whoever wins is in the playoff. It just will be the most exciting game because Iowa finally is able to play a top 15 opponent and really see if they can measure up. And I think it'll be great because, like Mark said, whoever goes in is the underdog and took my point, so whatever. But it's exciting, and that's what I'm most looking forward to. Carolina versus Clemson game, not excited. Carolina is not
excited.
Not excited because Carolina is not accustomed, although this season they have accustomed to winning. They're not Clemson, and it's just not going to be exciting.
And Iowa is? I think that they're.
The thing is, in Iowa, the only thing in Iowa is Iowa football and
Carolina,
Iowa
you
State
have
football.
everything.
Carolina, you got basketball, you got all this
soccer.
stuff.
By the way, Florida, the way they looked, there's a reason we didn't even talk about that. That's
they're going to
an
get
Alabama
stomped.
win.
Eric's getting the points here, guys. I think that's by far the most intriguing matchup because if North Carolina wins, all of a sudden you have all kinds of debate heading into Selection Sunday. Guys, the Green Bay Packers have lost 4 of their last 5 games after the Bears beat them on Thanksgiving. Brett Favre night, Rodgers and McCarthy look completely out of sync, and the Cheeseheads again trail the Vikings by 1 game in the NFC North. Is it time for the Pack to panic? And what is wrong in Green Bay after starting the season 5-0? Eric?
Reese, tell me if this sounds familiar. RELAX, Packers fans. It's 1 game. It's a 1-game deficit. The Cowboys.
Well, it's also 4 out of 5 games in the loss column.
The losses are a bit disturbing, but Aaron Rodgers has shown he can bounce back. The whole team can bounce back. I wouldn't be worried if I was a Packers fan.
Wow. Relax and no worries from Eric. Katerina, what say you?
It's time to freak out, Reese.
Okay, total opposite. I love it.
These Packers have just played games too close, and they can't win on tight games. Also, something to note is that the Packers have lost 2 games at home this season, while on the other hand, last season, none. And I'd like to see Aaron Rodgers just because he's like a favorable guy. You want to see them do well. But unfortunately, it's time to freak out.
Okay, time to freak out. Mark does not like seeing the Packers do well. What's up with Green Bay? It's time to panic.
I'm not going to say they need to relax. I'm not going to say they need to freak out. I'm more of a happy medium. The Packers, the reason why they don't need to freak out is because they've got that man, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is probably he's a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. He's one of the best in the league. And the only thing that's been hurting them has just been Jordy Nelson and Jordy Nelson being out for the season. Then you look at Davante Adams. I mean, I was watching that Bears game religiously, and Davante Adams had on that 4th down play. Davante Adams, the pass just went right through his hands. Nothing Aaron Rodgers placed that in perfect position. Nothing Aaron Rodgers could have done any better. Just Davante Adams missed it. But for the Packers, I don't think they need to worry at all. I don't think they need to freak out. I think they think they're better than everyone because they started off 5-0. I think they have to realize that they have a target on their back and that every team wants to beat them because they're the Green Bay Packers. They're a legendary team. So they just got to get ready, just got to prepare like they're the underdogs. They don't need to prepare like they're the favorites. That's what I think they need to do.
Then you guys mentioned the running game. I think that's an interesting part of it. Eddie Lacy has definitely not performed to the ability we thought. James Starks has kind of taken over.
Eddie Lacy, he had a pretty good game. Besides that fumble, everything else was pretty rock solid. He had a lot of yards. That touchdown was impressive too. He's getting the swing of things because he's been injured, and I think if you're relying on the run game, that doesn't really force Aaron Rodgers to make any throws to Davante Adams and James Jones, who are reliable receivers, but they're not Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb. Yep. So I think Eddie Lacy, he'll be good down the stretch.
All right, I think happy medium gets it done. Not time to freak out, but not time to relax either. Mark takes the points. We're headed for another rapid fire segment. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to College Crossfire. It is our second rapid fire segment. Let's take a look at our scoreboard totals. We have Katerina with 1. Mark and Eric are tossing up the deuces, guys. But rapid fire, you guys are welcome to jump in at any time. We've only got 2 of them, and the second one will be a little bit different. But we'll start with number 1, guys. After winning a state championship a football team decided to wax their chest totally bald, just straight up wax it right off, a winning wax. So, guys, had you won a state title, your team was involved in this, what would you do to yourself? What kind of crazy antics would you and your team do?
Okay, wax sounds crazy because it hurts.
Yeah, no question.
Ooh.
All right, I know what
I go to Disney World.
Okay, hey, just like the Super Bowl champs. Just like the Super Bowl
I go to
champs.
Disney World.
Well, some high schools in Texas and not in North Carolina, we can't afford to go to Disney World. So I would say what I would
Shots
do
fired.
is I would get a mohawk and then bleach it blonde. I feel like that would like make a statement.
Okay.
Like, are you in 2001
Well,
where
see,
like
what
are
the-
you gonna
all
wear
the-
all jeans like Justin Timberlake too?
Wait, so all the,
Let's go.
All the at my high school, all the swimming team, like when they won, they always won state. So when they would win state, they'd always bleach their hair. So I think that'd be kind of cool. But they put a little interesting twist on it. Put a little mohawk on there. I think that'd be pretty
Okay.
cool.
Okay. A little overdone. I've seen it done many times with high school baseball teams in the playoffs, but certainly better than Disney World, no question.
You know, yeah.
Have you even been to Disney World?
I've never been.
Okay, then you can't even say that's biased.
Why are you yelling?
You know,
Sorry.
Mark's right. We are in Texas. Katerina's right. You want to go somewhere, have some fun. So I would take the Disney World thing, go a little step further. I would go to SeaWorld, and I would jump in the orca tank, and I would have myself a party with Shamu.
Oh, then you get eaten. All right.
It's okay.
So go ahead. And you're not going to win the state. You're not going to repeat state champs. So.
Eric, that is awesome. Now you definitely would not get a chance to repeat as a state champion because you would be dead. But I think that takes a win because one, you're threatening life and death, and two, it's Shamu, and it's in Texas, guys. So Eric gets the 2 points, guys. The next question, we're going to give out points in a couple of different ways. But first, many mascots are overused in sports, besides the Longhorns, of course. Many are original names, such as the Rainbow Warriors, the Golden Hurricane, and the Syracuse Orange. But can you name the most used mascot
Wildcats.
in collegiate athletics? We have the top three.
Okay.
And if you name 2 or 3, we'll give you 1 point. If you name number 1, we'll give you 2.
Wildcats.
Bulldogs, Tigers.
There's number
Bears.
2 and number 3.
Bears.
No.
Oof.
2 and 3. Well, this is college, NCAA.
Yeah.
Wildcats. Did you say that?
I said
Warriors?
Wildcats.
No.
Nope. He got 2 and 3 with Tigers and Bulldogs.
Eagles. No.
Eagles are number 1.
Oh, hey!
Eagles are number 1. You
Wait, how
swept
about
it.
one that's
Woo!
different?
Huh?
How about one that's different, like the Raiders? Like the Wright State Raiders, it's a dog.
What?
There's a mascot called the Wright State Raiders, and it's a dog. It's
Does
like
that
a
have
wolf.
anything to do with the question?
It's opposite. And I'm like, I was just,
We're getting out of here, Cat. We're getting out of here. Eric
long
takes the win.
day.
He'll meet up with it. It is a long day indeed. Last show of the semester. Caden's meeting up with Eric Goodman, our champion of round 2 in the finals. Coming up. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to College Crossfire, and welcome to the finals in our Tournament of Champions. We've got 4 rounds are down. It comes down to you two guys, Caden Kinard and Eric Goodman. You guys ready to battle it out?
Yep.
Sure. Let's do it, man.
Okay, all right,
Whatever.
or not.
I guess, yeah.
Or not.
Getting
I guess
late.
I guess we'll get
Yeah,
into it, guys. After 2 seasons and minimal changes made to the coaching staff, Charlie Strong seems poised to make new additions. We'll just get into it. Who should Texas let go, and who should they hire at some of these key coaching spots?
Offensive side, Norvell, he's got to be gone as play caller.
Yep.
He just absolutely has to be. Wasn't much creativity going on there, and I really want, what's his name, Doug Comby, the TCU offensive coordinator. He's the co-coordinator.
So it's Sonny Cumby and Doug
Sonny
Meacham.
Sonny Comby. I know he's co with Doug Meacham, but Doug Meacham, he's getting that gig from North Texas, maybe fighting against Oklahoma's offensive coordinator. And say he does, Meacham doesn't get that job with North Texas. Comby's gonna want to go somewhere. He's not going to be hiding in the shadows. So let's pitch forth a lot of money. He helped him improve 180 yards per game. He helped him improve by 22 points per game, both Big 12 records. But the thing about Comby is he had worked with Trayvon Boykin as the quarterback's coach. And Trayvon Boykin went from possibly a wide receiver on that team going forward to one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and I know, or in college football, and I know he used his feet to make him dynamic. But it's the credence for Comby seeing what he did with Boykin in the pocket, which I think would give him a look.
Yeah, it's really incredible thinking about what TCU was. Trayvon Boykin had sort of been relegated to a wide receiver, a special guy. In the last 2 years, he's a finalist for a Heisman Trophy. could have won it this year had the injuries not sort of played a role. So I think Sonny Cumbie's a great choice. By the way, only making $200,000 at TCU.
Texas got that
By the
money.
way, Sean Watson making about $650,000. Sean Watson, who is now the QB coach, obviously offensive coordinator to start. Eric, who are some guys you're looking out for here?
Yeah, I think definitely when you look at offensive coordinator, anytime you got an interim tag and there's not major success, I think that interim's got to be replaced. That's the point. Someone needs to tell USC that, by the way, because they just promoted their interim head coach. I think aside, if you're going to go beyond offensive coordinators, then I honestly think you got to either axe everybody or keep it consistent. I don't think shuffling the mix does any benefit to anybody except maybe giving some receivers coach a chance to call plays. Honestly, I think if you want to stay in this Charlie Strong system, if you have faith in it, which I think we're all kind of iffy on at this point, if you want to take that gamble, you got to take that gamble with him and his entire staff. If you think you've seen enough, get them all out, get a whole new group back in. That's honestly the way I would see it.
It's just there's no really good obvious hires out there.
Yeah.
There's no perfect hire.
Even with like Comby, like say Meacham does get the job, why would he come here? Why would he leave TCU, a better, more established program right now, to come to Texas?
And the thing is, it may be a one-year job.
Yeah.
With Charlie Strong sort of on the mend, next year's probably a make-or-break year in most people's minds. Why would an offensive coordinator come to an uncertain position knowing he may be back to have a new job the next season?
Mark Richt needs a job.
Mark Richt definitely needs a job, although he's in talks with Maryland already. Let me ask you this question. Vance Bedford, obviously Charlie Strong's #1 guy. These guys have worked together at Louisville in the past. Vance Bedford sort of gets a rap, obviously in the running for, I believe, North Dakota's coach last year. What do you guys think of Vance Bedford? Is he coming back?
What he's working with is how about Dylan Haynes, the starting safety? Sorry, hello. He's maybe the worst safety in the Big 5 conferences. He just isn't working with us. Last year we saw him. He performed well with the team when he had moderate. Even last year's defensive talent was good. It's good defensive talent. This year he just didn't have much to work with. In the defense, they had their moments. No one really blasts on them except for Notre Dame and Texas Tech recently. Yeah. But other than that, the games were like mid-20s, low 30s. Like that's not bad when you have Dylan Haynes as your starting safety.
Right, in the Big 12. Eric, what do you think about this Vance Bedford situation? Something that's really not talked about a whole lot, but certainly I think this is a year where Charlie Strong either brings in a bunch of new guys or that seat gets a lot hotter.
I'm going to be real honest. There are smarter men than me that can make that call. I wouldn't be opposed to it by any means. I'd be interested to see how that would play out. But beyond that, like my knowledge of NCAA assistants is not extensive enough to think of someone who would be a better option. So, yeah.
I'm a little miffed at your little Clay Helton little jab there because he's a great hire for USC, by the way. The players absolutely love them. He defers to the players. He knows the players' game, especially in college football, and he's going to recruit well for them. And he's done well strategically. He changed up what USC's been doing against UCLA, which normally USC is very stuck in what they do.
Yeah.
But also what he did is he brought him back to more traditional running, get around and pound, tailback you. So Clay Helton's a great hire for USC, but he's not available for Texas offensive play.
Yeah, no question about it. By the way, Texas, I think they can everybody. Maybe Jay Norvell stays on as a wide receiver coach. I think it's Sonny Cumbie or bust. Maybe the offense coordinator at Western Kentucky, a little bit under talked about, but I think you shell out for that guy as well. Jeff Traylor, I think you keep him because he has East Texas ties. You hired him sort of at the beginning of the season. As a tight ends coach, might be the one position group you look at Texas and you say they actually improved. I think you keep those two. I think everybody else,
even defensively, you don't like
be gone.
I'll tell you one thing that makes it a lot easier on this group. They can take a deep breath that Les Miles is coming back to LSU because that would be a name that Mike Perrin would definitely be calling, and he'd be crazy not to.
Well, maybe some coordinators and some recruits there as well. So, guys, Caden's going to get the point here. Obviously, starting off strong. I think you really have to start over, and in Charlie Strong's make-or-break year, get some new guys. Something's got to change, even though he's loyal. Speaking of another not-so-loyal guy, Chip Kelly is not feeling the love in Philadelphia right now. The Eagles have lost 3 games in a row and have lost the last 2 by a combined score of 90-31. With all the college job openings, is Chip's time in Philly coming to an end? Obviously, the last 2 games been very embarrassing. He, remember, took over last year's almost GM, got a bunch of new players in. Obviously hasn't lived up to expectations in a struggling NFC East. Eric?
At Oregon, it was maybe the most solid identity of any team that in college football. The Chip Kelly system you heard it thrown out when he was coming to Philadelphia. It was not just Chip Kelly's coming to Philadelphia, it was the Chip Kelly system is coming to Philadelphia. I think he's lost that identity completely. I think Shady McCoy was the fit there, let him go. I think it's honestly a job-costing decision to put your faith in a guy like Sam Bradford, to trade away a guy with Nick Foles that true didn't play well his last season, but did show flashes, more so than I ever saw from Sam Bradford, to be honest. He could have gone after Mariota. I think he could have had success there with his guy from Oregon. He chose not to. As a Giants fan, I'm fine with that. I'd be much more concerned with a up-and-coming Marcus Mariota in that division than Sam Bradford. So, I mean, if those are the decisions that a coach his job gets based on, then he's done nothing to justify keeping his job there.
The issue came when he began making personnel decisions. That's when Chip Kelly really lost what he was doing. And I think he's kind of in over his head. The Eagles, they would have had to give up way too much to get Marcus Mariota. That wouldn't have been a safe game plan going forward, because obviously looking at their roster this year, they just don't have enough to compete. But Chip Kelly's issue is not the system. They're getting yards. They're only scoring 22 points a game, his problem is they just don't look like they believe in what he's doing. The players look lost. There's no energy or motivation or passion with the Philadelphia Eagles. And for maybe the most passionate fan base in the whole NFL, that's probably the most worrisome part about Chip Kelly, is just how he's lost confidence in seemingly everybody. Is he gone? I don't know, because the owners would be saying, like, wow, we made a bad decision. But right now, it does seem like a terrible decision.
It certainly trailed off. 10-6 the first year, lost to the Saints in the playoffs. Last year, obviously, the Cowboys were the #1 seed. Eagles missed out at the very end, collapsing the last 3 games. This season, it looks like things are off, headed down the same road. I'm with you, Caden, here. I think that the issue became when you trade LaShawn McCoy. You get Kiko Alonso. Obviously, he gets hurt. You get a new quarterback in Sam Bradford. Shout out Nick Foles. Jeremy Maclin gone. Deshaun Jackson gone. Now they're producing at other places, and frankly, the guys that you've drafted or brought in haven't stepped up.
I don't argue with the LaShawn McCoy, Kiko Alonso trade, because it made, like, you could rationalize that. You can't rationalize them going out and signing DeMarco Murray right after, because he's just not necessarily a better fit. When you're going to bet on your system like that by getting rid of LaShawn McCoy and bringing in a defensive player, and then you waste that cap space when it could have been better served somewhere else, that's where Chip Kelly just really struggled.
Yeah, I think there's really only one instance where a person has proved that he can handle the personnel decisions and coaching, and that's Bill Belichick. And no one else yet, least of all Chip Kelly, has shown that he's capable of managing both. And that was the mistake that the Eagles set him up to make.
I think Eric's getting the point. I think that is really where the Eagles went wrong. They went from Andy Reid, who it was sort of a joint thing. Obviously, the Eagles' many successes over the years. Chip Kelly, with this new system, I think he's going to get maybe another year. But if they struggle, maybe.
I think that's fair.
But then again, maybe. Here's a quick question: does a college job pull Chip Kelly away?
I thought the only college job would have been USC. He's going to go back to the West Coast. That's just
no Miami, no Georgia.
No, I don't think they have. None of the fans there or the boosters would like the style of play that he'd condone. They'd want a more physical, professional style of play. So I don't think any job right now would get Chip Kelly to go to college.
I agree with that. It was USC was the one that called.
Glad he's not there.
The blinking lights.
Yeah.
But now there's.
Okay, guys, time for a little stick and puck talk. The Dallas Stars are off to their best start in franchise history and lead the Western Conference with 38 total points. Jamie Benn leads the NHL in goals, and defenseman John Klingberg leads all NHL defensemen in points. Guys, are the Dallas Stars ready to bring the Stanley Cup back to Big D for the first time since '99 and 2000?
Are you kidding me?
Caden, we'll start back with you.
No, I'm on the Washington Capitals bandwagon. I know they just lost to the Stars 3-2. That's a closer game, but Washington, they really control the game. They have the highest possession percentage in the league, and that's just something that I think is a little bit better going in the playoffs. They're not as quick strike. And also, they have the 4th best scoring mark. So teams that usually hold the puck like that, or in any sport, if you hold the ball longer, normally you don't score as well, but they still score. They have the best goal differential. They have a better goal differential than the Dallas Stars. Their schedule has been a bit softer, so that's a little bit worrying. But I'm a bigger fan of Washington going forward than the Dallas Stars.
Wow, so Washington Capitals, certainly Alex Ovechkin, their leader. Obviously a force to be reckoned with. Eric?
Caden, I would call that a stock market pick. I would say, based on what we're seeing, based on the stats, I mean, you could understandably have faith in Washington
Good investment.
going.
Good investment going forward. Thank you.
It would be a good investment.
He's
if
agreeing with
sports,
me. Yes, I get it.
If sports
Give me the
was
point.
that way, but sports isn't that way. You play the games. You play playoff games. The Washington Capitals have done that for the last decade with zero success.
The Stars have done it with a lot of success.
We'll get to the Stars. And on that point, and I like where the Stars are right now. I think they have really great playmakers headed by Tyler Seguin and Patrick Sharp, who came from where the Stars are going to have to go through to get to the Stanley Cup Finals. It's Chicago. It's going to be Chicago until they prove that they're not as a team that's as a dynasty as they look right now. I think that's the West Coast, the Western Conference. And if Dallas can get through Chicago, then they're into the Stanley Cup Finals. You got the East, the Rangers. I like to give them a shout out. And then the Capitals, sure. Montreal Canadiens are the best team in hockey right now. That's my stock market pick going forward. I like them in the regular season. But I think it could be an exciting playoffs where Dallas is definitely heavily involved in it.
By Eric's logic, though, no new team would ever win a championship. It'd be the same team over and over.
That's not a team
true.
that over and over is losing and choking in the playoffs. Alex Ovechkin is, this is not my words. These are words from those who have watched him play. Tony Kornheiser from Washington, he's a choker. They all call him
Jordan
a
was
choker.
a choker. LeBron is a choker. The good players eventually come through. That's what makes them great. Alex Ovechkin, one of the best players in the league. He has been for years. He's gonna find his groove eventually. He's gonna shine in big moments.
I don't know what you see that tells you that. I haven't seen anything that tells me that.
Regular season success is a better, larger sample size than
We've seen the same
success.
thing with same argument made with Peyton Manning. Saw that play out. Obviously, same argument was made with Tony Romo. Hasn't played out yet. But still, certainly, guys, what do you think Dallas stacks up in the Western Conference? I know you mentioned Chicago. You've also got the Tampa Bay Lightning in there, St. Louis Blues. Is Dallas in that mix? Because 2 years ago, 8 seed, last year missed on the playoffs entirely. But where's Dallas in that Western Conference?
I think they're top of the Western Conference.
So you have to make them a favorite, a top two favorite. I still think Chicago, even though they haven't played as well in the regular season.
Right.
I can't.
Legal issues in Chicago.
That's true, but Patrick Kane is the best player. Patrick Kane is the best player in hockey.
Hopefully he has the best lawyer in hockey, too. That's all I'm caring about.
Guys are in the points there. I think
you.
you had an underdog pick. Also, and I think you lead Dallas last season. Worst team goal differential-wise in the third period. Gave up leads time and time again. This season, they've only gave up one lead in the entire third period so far this season. Obviously, haven't lost in overtime yet, and only 5 regulation losses. Obviously, from my perspective, I think Dallas is certainly headed for the top of the Western Conference. Playoff success, obviously, with Antti Niemi, Kari Lehtinen splitting time in net. It'll be interesting to see when they don't have a number one technical goaltender how that matchup plays out, but certainly should be a ton of fun, guys. So, Caden takes a 2-1 lead. Up next, we decide a winner. Don't go anywhere. It's finally time to decide a winner here on College Crossfire. Let's take a look at our scoreboard. Off to my right, Caden Kinard leads Eric Goodman 2-1. Caden's got the deuces, but plenty of time to. We're gonna have 2 rapid-fire questions. You guys jump in at any time. The first question, you get a point for each thing that you name. Time to decide a winner, guys. This year has taken its toll on college football coaches in the Power 5. If you can name all the Power 5 coaching jobs that are now open, you get 1 for each job that's open.
Power 5 will.
Miami. I'll take
Miami.
that one.
There's Georgia, Maryland.
Okay, so Caden has 2.
Power
Eric
5.
has 1. Yeah, Power 5. Power 5 football.
Did you write
jobs
this
that are
question
open.
before USC made the hire or after USC made the hire?
We're going current as of now, so USC's off the board.
Okay.
So you said
Missouri. I'll take Gary Pinkel's gone.
Okay.
Or he's announced that he's gone. So.
Okay, we'll do 2-2.
Virginia Tech.
Is that right?
They haven't officially announced Fuentes. He's been reported. He's been reported. Come on, don't let the audience.
We're gonna appeal to our producer back in studio on that one.
Ask Bevo. Bevo, what?
Nick Saban.
Yeah, there's no.
Okay, so we've got 2 and 2 now so far. So I believe the
North Texas has
figure
an
I
opening,
saw
but they're not
were
Power
14.
5.
Okay, no, they are. Oh, well, okay, excuse
No.
me. The Division I job.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
North
my
Texas.
fault. Yep.
North Texas.
Yep.
Fighting Illini. Actually, do they have it?
They're Power 5.
Kansas.
Memphis now.
Okay.
So either you're giving me the point for Virginia Tech or you're giving me the point for Memphis. I'm getting it one way or the other.
I'll give you Memphis. I'll give you
Okay.
Memphis.
Okay.
Okay. So it's 4-2.
These are like ESPN bottom line things to just kind of catch.
Right.
So I'm trying to think of what I glanced at. South Carolina.
There you go.
That's a good one. That's been
You said
They already said
They got
audience.
Miami. Yeah.
There's an answer I feel like you're looking for that we
Well,
haven't.
there's I believe the figure I saw earlier there was 14 total. You guys.
yeah.
have
Whoa.
Gosh.
Wow.
Golden State.
The Lakers' job's open, I believe.
Okay, Lakers' job is definitely open. All right, we'll cut it off there. We'll get you guys the answers a little bit later on. So,
Okay.
Caden has 4. Eric ended up naming 3. So the next question worth we'll make it worth 3 points, and whoever gets it wins.
Okay.
Guys, or we'll make it 2 because you guys are so close, and whoever gets it wins.
Whatever. Whoever gets this win.
Whoever
Make
gets
it, take
wins.
it.
Yeah, there we go.
Make it, take it.
We're playing in the
Guys,
streets right here.
Our final show of the semester. This is our final question of the year here on College Crossfire. So it is up to you. So much happened this year in sports, but it is up to you to decide your favorite memory, the best moment in 2015 in sports.
When the Clippers lost 3-1.
My goodness, that was the worst moment in sports when the
They're up
Clippers
3-1 and lost.
lost that game to the Rockets. That's an easy answer. Best moment.
James Harden lost MVP.
We need Josh Garrett, our Florida right
One of my
now.
favorite moments, I don't know if it's the favorite moment, but I'm going to go with right now, is seeing Steph Curry hit that corner game-winning shot over Anthony Davis. And it's because of the implications of that. Those are the 2 players, presumably from everybody, that's going forward to take over the league from LeBron, the King's throne. And to see both of them go at it and then see Curry kind of make it, kind of, metaphorically represented what's happening this year, next year, how it's, as of right now, it's Steph's league. As much as I'm a huge LeBron fan, it's just him. But there's a favorite sports moment. That's up there.
I know how much that hurts you to say too, so that's I'm proud.
I have
proud of you for that one.
my favorite would be all things Mets, but if I had to go with the most shocking, the moment that had my jaw on the floor, I think the whole nation's jaw on the floor, passing at the goal line. Russell Wilson gets intercepted by Brown from the Patriots. I mean, that was the moment of the year in sports as far as I'm concerned.
That was, now that it got me thinking, America's team with the Patriots. What about America's U.S. soccer team and Carly Lloyd's midfield goal?
Wow.
That actually might be my favorite sports moment to see what she did. She should absolutely be Sportswoman of the Year, Sports Illustrated Player of the Year.
Sure.
I think that just kind of was a powerful moment that the Patriots are hard to gather around as a whole country, but the whole country kind of gather around that United States Women's World Cup Championship team, and to see that.
Okay. All right. We getting Simone from the crowd. We got no Michigan State.
Jordan, I'm not taking credit for that, but Jordan Spieth was amazing to watch for 3 majors.
Yeah. Jordan Spieth in the golf tournament, guys. All these great moments. Love the Patriots thing, but I think Carly Lloyd, just because it's so off the wall, and it really, Patriots may be America's team. Obviously not from my perspective.
I can't argue when I'm wearing these socks. That's the
thoughts
answer.
are they?
USA.
There you go. So USA, baby. USA. Caden is going to take the win here on our final show of 2015. Caden, you have
I have FaceTime. Do we have time for FaceTime?
plenty of FaceTime.
Doc Rivers is not a top 5 coach in the league. I'm continuing our FaceTime tradition by talking about the Clippers. Doc Rivers
Should have given it to Eric. Should have given it to Eric.
Yeah, I will gladly take it.
Spoiler, Clippers talk. He's not a top 10 coach of the league. He doesn't do anything that kind of warrants the Clippers to win a championship, which hurts so badly because I want the Clippers to win. Oh, obviously more than anybody. They've given me years of ineptitude, and then we finally have that glimmer of hope. Paul Pierce is a corpse of what he once was. Oh, Chris Paul, Blake Griffin.
I'm cutting you off here because we've heard this too many times, and Eric gets about 20, 30 seconds face.
I appreciate
No,
that.
I got the win though. That's okay.
Eric, we're giving this a consolation prize.
As great as my first semester at UT has been personally, in Longhorn sports, not as much. But I don't want anyone to lose track of our I came back from Thanksgiving and the tower was lit for a sports reason. And it was far from Longhorn football, it was far from Longhorn men's basketball. It was our women's volleyball team, Big 12 champions. And then that night, or the night before, this weekend, our women's basketball team beats the powerhouse Lady Volunteers. This semester, at least, Texas is a women's sports school, and I think it should be recognized.
Past 3 years.
Yeah, past 3 years, yeah. Great stuff, guys. Caden takes it home. That's going to do it for our final show in 2015. Don't forget to check us out on social media at College X-Fire. Make sure to tune in to our show, College Crossfire, every Wednesday night at 9 for the latest Longhorn sports news. Check out College Press Box Monday nights at 9:30. There on the Twitter as well, at College Press Box. All of our shows on YouTube. Caden Kinard is your champion. Big thanks to Eric Goodman, all our other 4 panelists for doing work. Bigger applause due to everyone in Studio Master Control. Special thanks to each and every one of you for spending your Wednesday nights with us. Until next semester, I'm Reese Miller. Have a fantastic Wednesday night and Christmas break.